David, well, I've got 9:02, so we'll go ahead and get rolling here. And for everyone who's on the call this morning, thank you for attending. These have been great sessions, and I really appreciate all the volunteer work that goes into putting these together. This morning, David Moore of Walter P. Moore has assembled a great panel, as you can see on the screen there, with uh, Bob Reiser and John Kuhn and Cody Bond, and to talk to us a little bit about parking trends. And Dave, thank you for doing this morning. And sir, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Ryan. And hello, everybody. Real quick, I know we want to talk parking, but real quick, the panelist here, just do a quick introduction. Bob Reiser, Senior VP with for the East Airports with SP Plus. Bob's going to touch on kind of what he's seeing, operationally at a lot of their airports here in the Southeast. Then we got John Kuhn, the Director of Operations and Maintenance at the Greater Asheville Regional Airport, who can touch on just some things, changes, challenges, what's happening there in Asheville. And then we'll end up with Cody Bauman at Greenville Spartanburg International Airport, again, talking specifically at his airport and just, some of the things that they're doing, or challenges or changes. So I'll start off just real quick. I think it's safe to say that, the airport industry in general, but airport parking, to me, in my opinion, in the past couple of years has taken a real roller coaster ride. Towards the end of 2019, I think I'll say things were pretty normal. People, their business lives, personal lives were, kind of normal. People were doing business, traveling a lot for business, traveling for their leisure, vacations. And then, March of 2020, the pandemic hit, and it just really, changed all parts of our lives, business, personal lives. And from the airports, side of it, I think most airports kind of really, went down to almost no parking. Nobody was flying, business or leisure. And then, all airports are a little different, kind of picked back up as we kind of got through the pandemic and through, with vaccines and different things. And here we are now in 2022. And I think, just the world we've been living in the last 2 years has just changed, airport parking, hopefully a lot for the good, but there's been some challenges. So what we're going to touch on today, again, from the kind of just overall airport look at it, and then two airports here in the Southeast, but, just general parking operations, what has changed? What has been the challenges? There's been some management challenges, going from booming, business to almost no travelers to slowly building back, and, maybe some travelers' habits changing, from business. People are traveling more leisure and less business now. But just how have the operations changed? When the pandemic hit, a lot of the parking equipment manufacturers, they kind of, I don't want to say scrambled, but, to address the concern for touching things and catching the virus and just safety and health concerns, a lot of the manufacturers quickly developed, new, not new products, but new features to their products where they could, you could wave your hand instead of pushing a button to get a ticket, to try to be safer and deal with what was going on. So, some of those things. And I think parking has changed as far as being attended parking to going unattended, and not, maybe having, cashiers in the booth. And so some of those operational things, Bob and the other guys will, touch on some things. And then I think just technology trends in parking, some of it related to, the pandemic and what's been going on in the world we live in today. But other things like parking guidance, I think, has become a real more used, not always VE'd out now, to try to just make the customer experience better at airports and parking. And then the use of license plate recognition, I think, is becoming more used. And then the last thing I have up on the slide is, again, I think some of it's related to the pandemic, and that is, I think reservations and pre-booking has become a bigger thing at airports. it's a way of a customer, doing things more themselves, more touchless, if you want to say it, where you reserve your parking online, you pay online, you show up, use your phone or something to just get in and out of the lot and just make your life easier. So those are some of the things. Bob, Cody, and John are, talk about a few other things. So just wanted to start it off, kind of throw some things out there, and I guess I'll turn it over to Bob at this point, and he can share some things on, what SP Plus is seeing and doing. All yours, Bob.
Good morning. Thank you, David. My name is Bob Reiser. I'm Senior Vice President of East Airports for SP Plus. I've been with the company for 36 years, almost all of which have been in the airport side of our business. We currently operate parking at 75 airports across the United States, including a heavy concentration in the Southeast. So when the pandemic started, hard to believe it's in a couple of weeks, it'll be 2 years since the start of it. April of 2020, parking revenues dropped to about 4% of April of the previous year. Everyone was in scramble mode, including the vendors, but as well as the airports. Revenues, as David mentioned, dropped to pretty much nothing. And there was a scramble not only to reduce operating expenses, but also to keep in mind the health and safety of the employees and the valued customers. So since April of 2020, things have steadily increased, slow but sure. In December of this past December, parking revenues on average exceeded 90% of pre-COVID. January dipped back down to about 85%. We're expecting it'll be in that range in February, but then with spring break coming up, we think there'll be an increase. A lot of that, the dip is reflective of the fact that it's the majority of the travelers are still leisure. Business travel has not come back anywhere near where it was. Many believe it'll be several years before business travel, if at all, gets back to the levels where it's at. So throughout the pandemic, there were several challenges, obviously health and safety, number one, but most of the contracts with the parking operators were broken. We had at our company about 20% concession agreements and 80% management contracts, but most deals had to be modified. In some cases, it was to the benefit of the airport, where the operators' fees included services that were no longer necessary. Most airports consolidated services, where they had shuttle lots. They parked the buses, moved everybody in as close as possible. In many cases, they reduced parking rates to try to satisfy all categories of passengers. We operated 24 valet services pre-COVID. We went down to 2, so most of the valet closed, and as much to do with social distancing and touchless as it has to do with reducing operating expenses. With the drop in business travel, there was not the demand for valet. We had over 800 shuttle buses. We parked about 2/3 of those buses. We're getting back now to where there's a heavy demand again for shuttle service, but there's a challenge hiring drivers, and now there's a challenge finding buses. 2 years ago when this started, we couldn't give buses away. Now it's over a year lead time to order a new 14-passenger cutaway bus. So key to everything, I think, really is about reducing operating expenses at this point. Certainly optimizing revenue and taking initiatives to increase revenue is important, but it's really a combination of the two. And I think most airports are looking at what is the net operating revenue after expenses. So there are a lot of things that that airports are doing to improve efficiencies and reduce operating expenses, and we're going to talk about a few of those things. I think every airport right now is really talking about touchless, frictionless, cashierless payment. It's certainly, there are some airports that have gone to full automation, and some airports have gone to really even credit card only payments, so eliminated cash altogether. So those kinds of programs, while improving efficiencies, create certain challenges for customer services, as you can imagine. Online reservations, I can tell you in Europe, 90% of all airport parking patrons reserve online, pre-book, pay in advance. In the United States, that number is still less than 10%, although there are a number of airports that have just recently started online booking, and I know there are a lot more that are considering it. There are several advantages for online booking. It allows you the opportunity to create a relationship with your customers. It allows you to disseminate information. It gives you real-time data as to who's going to use your parking facilities. And it allows you to kind of upsell, and the next level, which is really yield management and dynamic pricing. This is a prevalent program in Europe. In the United States, there's still only a handful of airports, mostly out west, that really have a true dynamic pricing program. And this starts with pre-booking with reservations online. And you have the ability then to discount parking based on several factors, demand, length of stay, that type of thing, with the idea that you're going to attract customers that would either park off airport or are extended stay customers that would find other means to get to the airport, whether it's TNC or drop off or pickup. Remote management is a service whereby you have a command center. We have a couple command centers now. We had one airport that we were providing remote management services pre-COVID. Now we have 7. So this kind of ties into the full automation. Now you have no cashiers in the lanes. How do you assist people that have a lost ticket, their credit card doesn't work, they have questions, they have issues? And the way to do that is to remotely monitor it through intercom and video, and interface with the revenue control system so that somebody from even another state can push a rate for a lost ticket, that type of thing, open the gate and provide 24-hour customer service without having to have a physical person in the lane. Premium parking is really, there's a push for that now. It kind of ties into reservations, but with the valet, which is a very expensive hands-on operation, premium parking kind of is a replacement for valet, where you take an area that's the closest to the terminal, either through signage or through nesting, create a premium parking area, sell it for an upcharge. People will have peace of mind knowing that they'll have a close-in space. You don't have all the costs associated with valet attendants and moving vehicles and that type of thing. So certainly can talk more about that as we go along.
Great, thanks, Bob. A lot of good information and stuff going on. So let's move to John and touch on some of the stuff that's happening there in Asheville.
Good morning, everybody. Asheville Airport, just for some of the statistics, we're currently served by 5 airlines, with Allegiant being the primary carrier. And with Allegiant being the primary carrier, our ratio with leisure and business traveler is opposite of most airports. we're at about 70% leisure versus 30% business. So the parkers started to come back a little bit earlier at Asheville than maybe some of the other airports around the country. Some of the challenges we faced here was the reduction in staff. We went to no attendance, basically left a manager and a couple of maintenance people on site to handle the day-to-day things, but they obviously couldn't work the schedule that is needed to accommodate all airline operations. And with that, there was nobody to assist people who forgot where they parked, who had dead batteries, or who locked their keys in the car, or whatever the reason may have been. They needed human assistance. It wasn't readily available because no attendants were on site. In Asheville, we had a handicap parking discounted rate. We have 3 parking options and only had handicap parking in 2 of those options. So with having a discounted rate, that needed human intervention at the exit lane to adjust those fees. So obviously with no attendance, there's nobody on site to assist with that. The parker didn't know what to do. They were expecting a discount on exit, but nobody was there to assist them. So that became a problem. We ended up doing away with the handicap parking rate and had to modify one of our parking options to accommodate the appropriate handicap spaces in that area. We also encountered quite a few people who, for whatever reason, could not return to Asheville to pick up their vehicles. So they were trying to call to find out what they could do. One, to stop charges because they didn't want to continue to pay the daily rate when it was not their fault, potentially, of not getting back to Asheville. But they also encountered issues of trying to contact somebody because of the reduction in staff. Some of the trends that we went to, as far as many other airports, we did go to credit card only upon exiting the facilities. Although you advertise and state that and place signage, people still do not understand that. They still want to use cash, but there's no attendance on site to collect cash. So those people, again, were left at the exit plaza wondering how they could exit with trying to pay their bill, but not having a method to do so. That also created a problem of who is going to go collect that information so that the parking operator could contact these folks to try to collect payment. That put a lot of burden on airport staff, especially the Department of Public Safety, because they're the only department that's here 24/7. And with the airline flights, coming in up till midnight, there was nobody from the parking operator on site to collect that information. So that burden fell on our public safety department, along with their other various duties. So that was just some of the issues that we faced at Asheville and how we tried to modify those to accommodate the travelers. Part of what we did to remedy the cash situation is we installed a reverse ATM machine, so that now when people say they do not have a credit card and they want to pay by cash, we direct them to that machine so they can deposit cash and get a credit card and be able to exit the lot. That machine has just recently been installed, so we do not have valid data at this point of how useful that has been. I'll answer any questions at the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Hey, one quick thing. When you went to credit card only, I assume you installed some pay on foot stations, whether in the terminal, say at baggage claim, or maybe in the lobby of your garage. Is that correct?
No, actually, we did not.
Okay.
We looked at that, but because of the cost of the machine and associated issues that go along with those, we decided not to do that. That's why we went to the reverse ATM. We had that scheduled to go in last year, but due to the ongoing pandemic, the company decided they were not going to place that machine, but we kept pressing them and they finally did.
Gotcha. Where I was going with, just real quick before we jump to Cody, is, we always promote, that the way the system should work when you have cashierless and credit card only and have pay on foots is, to get as many people as you can paying at, say, pay on foot stations, whether it's in the terminal or in the garage, before they get to their car. And the problem we have is, and I think it's just the nature of airport travel, is a lot of people don't take their parking ticket with them because maybe they're going away for a week. So to them, if they leave it in their car, they won't lose their ticket when they get back to be able to pay for parking, when ideally they need to take it with them so that, hopefully you can get them to pay somewhere prior to getting to their car, so that transaction, getting out of the facility, they're paid, it's a lot quicker. And I think that's a challenge. You mentioned signage. You could put signs all over, take ticket with you, pay before you get to your car. And some people either just don't see it, or, like I said, they just want to keep their ticket in their car because then they won't lose it, I guess. So,
well, David, that creates a whole nother issue. A lot of people aren't getting the habit of, they get that ticket and they place it on their dashboard.
right.
And now going to a credit card only system, most of those are barcode. They place that ticket on your dashboard. By the time they return and go to the exit plaza, that ticket's unreadable. It's faded by the sun.
Yeah.
So you're creating a whole nother issue with tickets and going cashless or without attendance because of the ticket system.
Understood. Well, good stuff. Let's move on to Cody, and then we can open it up to some questions by the group. All yours, Cody.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. So I'm going to hit on a few things that we've experienced here at GSP and kind of echo what Bob and David and John have said up to this point. So kind of back to the passenger mix changes. Asheville is a little bit different than us. They're 70-30. We're 60-40 pre-COVID, so 60 business, 40% leisure. That is obviously flipped to more of a 60 leisure, 40% business. One metric that we kind of kept an eye on is stay durations. So back in November, and as with most airports, I believe we saw a fairly good increase in revenue. We actually saw about a 2% increase in revenue over 2019 during the November month, mainly due to the Thanksgiving holiday. What's unique is, if you look to the right there, there's two bar graphs. The one on the left is one of our garages. In the blue, it's a 2019 stay duration. So 32% of our customers during the month of October were staying 3 to 10 days or more. Now in the garage, now think that we're more leisure than business, we're seeing about a 48%, which is unique. So it's something to keep an eye on for us, and I think the industry as well, is what business travel is going to look like when it comes back. And then on the right side, that's one of our economy lots. Not as big of a gap between 2019 and 21, but the blue being 60% in our economy lot, and then now 73%. We just thought that was a unique metric to keep an eye on. Stay durations have increased. It makes sense in the economy lot because that's where the majority of leisure travelers are parking, but we're also seeing the same thing in our garage, which tells us either we have more leisure travelers parking in our garage, or business travel trends are changing. Business, folks that are traveling on business may be traveling at longer durations. It's something that we thought was unique at GSP, and I'm sure some other airports are seeing the same. Over to technology changes, and I believe Bob and David kind of hit on these a few, but we have a parking guidance system. We've had it for over 5 years, so it's not a new system, but I will tell you it has saved us with high garage occupancy. So in 2019, we were probably going full in one or both of our garages almost every week throughout the year. We were almost ready to initiate a third garage program. Obviously, COVID hit, so we tabled that. But I would tell you that parking guidance system really saved us. When you see the 80%, 90% occupancy at that frequency, you tend to see increases in complaints of folks complaining that it's taking 15 minutes to find that space. Well, with the signs and with that guidance system, it helps customers and passengers find their space quickly. So it's been a customer service help, definitely. License plate recognition. So we just wrapped up a complete parks equipment replacement program, about a year and a half to 2 year program, replacing all of our equipment with a TIBA system, which includes LPR. It's all credit card only. We also eliminated our cash and cashiers as well, similar to Asheville. I will tell you that license plate recognition has helped a lot with the decision to get rid of our cashiers. We're running our parking program out of our parking operation out of the command center. So we've really moved those employees into more of a centralized location on the campus. It's helped with lost tickets. So if a customer comes in and says, I have a lost ticket, I don't have it, we can push that rate based off the LPR rate on entry. It's also helped with blacklisting. So since we don't accept cash and we don't have any means of processing cash, like a reverse credit card payment, as John alluded to, we are able to promise to pay, fill out a form for the customer, and then we do blacklist them out of the lot until they pay us the fare. And it has worked well. I wouldn't say it's happening a lot, but if the customer tries to come back and they haven't paid the $100 or $200 parking fare that they promised to pay, they typically pay it on that second visit. Shuttle tracking is something we did bring our shuttles back to our economy lot in November. We had this shuttle tracking system prior to, but we're using a mobile application, cellular-based solar signs. Again, that helps with the customer service aspect. We are able to communicate where that shuttle location is on campus. I think it has helped us run a leaner operation as well. We can control that better, and it's definitely been a savior on the customer service standpoint. Over to pre-book and reservations, a big one for us. We launched our pre-book reservation system back in April 21. I will tell you, it works really well with our LPR system. It is a true contactless means of entering and exiting the garage. If the customer enters the LPR during the booking process, their license plate, that is, all they have to do is pull up to the gate arm opens and they park, and then they do the same thing on exit. It has really helped expedite that process of getting in and out of the lots. We've also initiated an upsell program from our economy to our garage parking. I think it's very typical to a lot of airports that are utilizing pre-book system. It's probably been the most successful means. As you see to the right there, we initiated that upselling to our economy lot to the parking garage B, and we've seen a steady conversion rate. So we're seeing about a 40% conversion, and that's a $2 increase. So our economy lot is $8 a day. Our garage is $16 a day. But if you choose your parking booking dates between a certain specified date frame or day, Wednesday through Friday, typical leisure times of travel, the system will automatically offer you a $2 increase a day to park in our covered garage parking. It's been a successful practice for us, and I think I can speak for the same for other airports. Yield management and dynamic pricing, as Bob alluded to, it's something that we are looking at. We're building a plan right now. It's unique to GSPs. We don't have any offsite customers. So the motivation to yield the pricing for our parking options we're not as motivated, but we do see a benefit in that, because I think we'll be able to increase our usage in pre-book, which will then help us better manage and control the parking operation. That's all I have, and look forward to questions at the end.
Thanks, Cody. I guess we are there for questions. Ryan, I don't know how you want to handle questions.
Yeah, I've been monitoring that in the chat, and
Okay.
one had already been posed and answered, so appreciate that happening during the course of the presentation. So honestly, you can, if you have a question for the panel here for Dave, you can put that in the chat, or just unmute and speak up. That works as well. Not everybody all at once, please.
Wow, we must have done such a great job. We've answered everybody's questions.
Well, this happened last time too. I think we stalled around. We ended up with a question or two. So we'll hang in there for a second.
Hi, this is John from Charleston. I got a question for Cody and John both. Have you monitored your people where you, I guess both of you give a discount for your parking if they pre-book off of your regular drive up price? And if so, have you monitored the loss that you would have collected during that time frame? Kind of in Europe, the parking price per ticket is usually less than it is here in the US. And I was just wondering, have y'all monitored that, or have you got enough data yet to be able to make a decision on that?
I'll go first, Cody. The only discounting pricing we offered was in handicap. And we had to do that because we did not have handicap parking in all of our various options. But with that, having human intervention upon exit in having no attendance, we had to adjust. And we did that by creating handicap spots in the lot that did not accommodate those. And then the discount was dropped. Handicap parkers just pay the rate associated with what lot they are in.
Okay, I'll jump in here too. So our pre-book system is the daily drive up rate. So if you log into our system and you put in your duration of stay, it's going to be the same drive up rate. The only discount is going to be that upsell. We haven't really tracked a revenue loss on that because we're assuming that if you select economy as your option, then it pops at upsell. So yes, there could be the time that a business traveler could be trying to get a discounted rate, but I will say our pre-book system only offers that upsell every second click into the economy lot. So we've actually seen a revenue increase. I think last month we calculated about a $10,000 revenue increase because of that $2 upsell, because we had about 350 bookings for that upsell out of the economy lot. We are looking at potentially discounting our drive up rate within our pre-book system for lead-based parking. So if you book your parking 30 days in advance, then you may get a 20% discount or something like that, just to get someone into the system, and then we can control and manage that out of that.
Okay, so you're basically no discount for pre-booking then, which I know a lot of things I've read, we've seen people are discounting more than they're actually losing, but you're doing it no discount by pre-booking then.
Correct. Right now we are. And I would say if we discounted, our usage would be higher than what it is right now. I think last month we saw about an 8% booking rate. And that's 8% of total transactions across our parking operation. It's not great, but it's still a very green system and a new operation for us. But I believe, and I think Bob could probably jump in here because he has a little more experience throughout the country, but typically discounting that parking is going to be your best way of increasing that usage for your pre-book system.
Yeah, that's correct. Cody, I had a quick question. Do you charge a fee onto the customer for a booking fee, or is it free of charge?
Free of charge. Our contract with our pre-book is a minimum bookings we pay annual, or a monthly fee. I'm sorry, we pay a minimum monthly fee up to X amount of bookings. What we did do to help cover that cost is we included a add-on for a $1 cancellation protection. We're seeing about half of our bookings purchase that $1 cancellation protection. In our eyes, in the majority of them aren't canceling. In our eyes, that kind of helps cover that per transaction fee that we're required to pay.
Okay, great.
If you're not monitoring the chat, there were a couple questions that have been posed and answered, and then one that's remaining unanswered. But John, why reverse ATM instead of a pay point system where customers can use cash just to pay for parking? And he answered that, but it was placed at no cost to the airport, whereas a foot system would have been approximately $58,000 to install and maintain. And then there was another question about, can customers use credit cards to receive, they receive for other uses? And the answer to that was yes. But there was one question, Cody, what positions did you staff your command center? Cody, you're
You're on
muted.
mute, Cody.
I apologize, sorry. We currently have 6 employees staffed in our command center. And their customer service representatives is the title with 1 manager. 20 hours a day coverage, and then it goes to our airport operations center for the remaining 4 or 5 hours at night. That answer your question?
And a couple more showing up here. What percentage of pre-booking are no-shows? That's kind of to the group. If anybody wants to jump in to answer that one, you have a percentage.
I don't. We do probably anywhere from 5 to 10 customers do contact us a month right now, probably, and it kind of ebbs and flows based off the season on either their airline canceled their flight, or they got to the airport, they parked, and then their airline canceled. But we have not tracked the no-shows up to this point.
I can jump in on that. Typically, it's in the 1 to 2% range. Most people that have flight cancellations, that type of thing, there's a mechanism to get a refund. But the people that pay in advance and actually don't show and you never hear from, very few. So around the less than 1% probably. So minimal.
Excellent. David, I'm seeing one more here. It says, this is from Sandra here at OAJ. We will be replacing a federal ADP system to Designa, I guess is how you'd say that, in the next few months. We will have the capability to go cashierless and have a pay on foot station for cash in the terminal. Can you discuss some wish we had done this differently aspects? I don't know if you want to assign that to one of the guys or if you want to jump in there personally.
I can jump in real quick because we had actually 3 pay on foot terminals budgeted against our project that we just wrapped up. We had decided against that due to cost and then due to where they were going to be located, and we didn't feel like they were going to be used appropriately. We also felt from an operational standpoint, if we just put one in the terminal, we could sign and communicate as much as possible, but you're still going to have that customer that's going to go to the exit lane, then have to back up. We just felt like it would be an operational mess in a way. So we decided to cut those from the project, mainly due to the cost of the terminals and the cost to maintain them as well.
Excellent.
I'd also add on your system, technology is changing rapidly, as we all know. If you ever think you're going to go to any type of reservation system or anything else that may need a scanner, for example, get whatever you can now. Don't try to get cheap out now and knowing future years down the road you're going to be adding other features, and then you start having to add on to the ticket dispenser the features that you want to install. So I would just say get whatever you can now. Even if you don't plan on using for a year or two, have it installed now.
I'd like to add that as an option, putting the cash machine at or near the exit plaza is something to consider, just for the reasons Cody mentioned. Putting inside the terminal, if somebody misses it or doesn't understand, they're at the exit plaza, now they got to go back to the terminal. So a lot of airports have either put it in a lane at the exit plaza or put it in some kind of covered shelter near the exit plaza office, that type of thing. So somebody can pull off to the side, get out of their car, pay with cash if needed, and then exit, as opposed to having to return back to the terminal. And they do make pay in lane machines where you can pay for cash in the lane. Those are a little more difficult to maintain, and you've got weather conditions and that type of thing. Having cash outside in that environment, but it is certainly an option, and I think it would be better utilized and better customer service experience if you have it near the exit plaza as opposed to inside the terminal.
And one item too on cash, something that we looked at was the data. We looked at probably 5 years or more of our cash to credit card comparison or ratio. So I think in 2019, we were at like a 2% cash to 98% credit cards. So 2% of our customer base was using cash. And we just didn't see a need to maintain 3 or more pay on foot stations for such a low amount. And then we saw that greatly decrease as COVID hit too. So that's the decision. One of the decisions why we just got rid of cash and decided to not even do the pay on foots either.
Yeah, no, I'll share a couple thoughts, opinions, or just experiences, talking about unattended, credit card only, pay on foots versus pay in lane. A lot of good things were mentioned as far as just, cost of, hardware and maintenance, and, signage is key, and location of pay on foots is key. In a real world, if you could, have enough machines, place them where people are going to go buy them and people are going to use them, which you can't force people to use them. The ideal situation is, people are paying in the terminal or in the lobby of the garage, so that transaction at the exit is insert the ticket, or if you have LPR like Cody has, it reads you don't even have to put your ticket in, it reads your license plates and knows you paid, and the gate opens to make that transaction at exit quick. Now, from the business side of it, me being a business traveler and knowing a little bit about parking, I mean, a lot of times I'll just pay in the lane because I know, hey, I can just put my ticket in, credit card real quick, boom, I'm out. The people that are non-business travelers and don't travel a lot, it might take them a little longer and slow down that transaction. But there's one feature that parking equipment manufacturers, most of them have now, not all, but most, is a feature that you can pay by your phone, and you don't need an app. Again, you have to sign it and people have to be aware of it, but it's real quick where, you're getting your luggage or you're walking out of the terminal simply with the camera on your phone. You don't need an app. In some systems, you can just scan your ticket. And then when you're sitting in your car before you pull out, you can enter your credit card information, and then you're paid. So when you get to the exit, if you don't have LPR, all you have to do is put your ticket in, but it's a much quicker transaction. So I see that kind of new feature that's been in the last few years as being one, not that it would replace pay on foots, but I think it's an opportunity to just another, quick, easy method for your customers to pay by credit card, just using their phone, no app, like I said, just taking a picture of their ticket, that could help with those, transactions at the exit. So just something that is out there.
Well, Dave, I hate to cut the conversation off here, but we try to respect everybody's time, and we're right at 9:45, so or 10:45, depending on where you're sitting. But I just wanted to thank you and Walter P. Moore for putting this session together, this coffee conversation. I wanted to thank John and Cody and Bob for all the material you assembled, and for taking time this morning to have a conversation with all of us. I think everybody learned something, and I thought it was a great session. So really good job, guys. And just on behalf of the chapter and the corporate committee, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Well, thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
See you guys. Everybody be good.